Despite the current climate of fear and great national need, Reaver Industries has once again struck a blow for the honest man on the street. The sad sight of the decayed and war-torn old quarter is no more. We are proud to present the new old quarter.
It breaks one's heart to see the treasury so empty. If we don't do something about it, we will all die. And I have some very definitive retirement plans. As a matter of fact, our very first order of business might have a bearing on our financial situation. The time has come to decide the annual town guard budget. As you can imagine, the people like to complain about crime and the lack of safety on our streets, and are calling for more guards than your brother was ever willing to pay for. You have 3 choices, Your Majesty. Leave the budget as it is? Indeed, Your Majesty. Why make any changes in such an innocuous matter? So people don't feel safe. Is that such a terrible thing? Let us now turn our attention to the rest of today's business. Here is the royal schedule I have prepared. As you can see, you have a busy day in the court, but a tremendously enjoyable one. Decoration is a passion of mine, and I simply cannot wait to see your choice. The interior designers await you in the throne room.
Your Majesty. My Queen.
All stand to attention for the Queen of Albion.
Your Majesty.
Today you decide on the decor of the castle. 2 of Albion's greatest interior designers have come to present their suggestions.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I am Herman Worthy, and I have a design in mind that will blow your little royal socks off. Imagine a celestial scheme capable of lifting the shadows that haunt these halls. A fabulous balance of serene hues that announce to the world, I am a strong, virtuous leader. Hear me roar. But also, look how pretty my home is. You are an enlightened queen. Let the heart of your castle be enlightened too.
Celestial? Serene? Pretty? Do you wish to be known as a ruler or as a fool? I am Sybil Maleficent, Your Majesty, and I can tell you that people respect what they fear. This castle should be a fortress of dread. I propose that we flood the rooms and corridors with blood, or at least a suitable paint substitute. Let all those who look upon this palace know terror, whether they be your subjects or your enemies.
It may seem trivial, but appearances can affect the opinion of the entire kingdom. The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
I wish this to be an enlightened castle.
Oh, fabulous, Your Majesty, fabulous! Your castle will be a vision of purity.
And what's more, fashion and good taste must choke down their nausea.
Everything all right?
Today you decide on the future of Aurora, Your Majesty. Kaelin will speak for her people. Reaver will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
I am here to seek the protection you promised. It is too long since my people felt safe. or knew of life without suffering. We were honored to join your fight to claim Albion. Now it is time we joined your kingdom. Do what your brother failed to do. Help us to rebuild Aurora and protect it as you would your own land.
There is nothing so noble as embracing other cultures, and I, for one, could not be happier to count Aurora as part of Albion. But surely they must work for that privilege, and I happen to know just how to put them to good service. There is an abandoned mine in the Auroran desert that holds enough materials to benefit the whole kingdom. Let us employ Kaelin and her people to gather what resources there may be. That can be their payment.
You're talking about forced labor.
Well, let's not get bogged down in semantics. It's a fair transaction.
I know you will not break your oath. You understand what we have been through.
The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
Aurora will become part of Albion. But they must work for this privilege.
The Queen has spoken. Aurora shall be mined for resources. Its people shall receive the protection of the throne in exchange for their labor.
You are no better than your brother. He may have left us to die, but you wish only to exploit us.
Welcome to the new and improved Aurora, an oasis of friendship, camaraderie, and valuable resources. Visit the city that Reaver Industries rebuilt from sand and tour the local mines, where you can witness the Aurorans' refreshingly vigorous work ethic. Aurora, a gem glowing in the darkness.
A wise decision in court today, Your Majesty. While it is true that your popularity in Aurora has suffered, the people closer to home are not too concerned. This could prove to be a very profitable arrangement. And speaking of Aurora and profits, we may have stumbled upon some very exciting news in that area. It seems that a group of Albion explorers visiting Aurora have discovered a rare diamond in the desert. They heard the legend of this extraordinary gem from the locals, and understandably set out to find it, without a moment's regard for their own lives. Which may go some way to explaining why only one of the explorers returned in one piece. He came back empty-handed, speaking of the hideous desert beings protecting the treasure. Think of the glory, Your Majesty, the adventure, the romance, the large sums of money we stand to make. The diamond is located in one of the caves beneath the Auroran wasteland, reportedly the site of an ancient, abandoned temple. You need only to take it.
I cannot tell you what joy it brings me to see you crowned queen at last. I served proudly under your mother when she sat on the throne, and I will continue to serve you to the best of my abilities. But becoming a ruler does not mean you cease to be a hero. That is why I shall remain in the sanctuary. It is where I belong, after all. And with this new, terrible threat approaching, you will no doubt find the sanctuary as valuable as your castle. Now, each gauntlet is capable of casting a particular type of spell. By wearing a different gauntlet on each hand, you can unleash a devastating combination of powers each time you cast. Examine your new weapon to learn what you must do in order to improve it. But whatever it is, please don't do it in here. I've just tidied up. An excellent combination of gauntlets. When you need to attack a target from a great distance and don't mind sacrificing firing speed, a rifle is ideal. Have you checked the Sanctuary shop recently? That could have gone better. That person now hates you, but no matter. Hate has its upside. A person who can't stand to be around you will sometimes offer gifts, some might say bribes, to leave them alone.
I hope you will accept this gift, Your Majesty.
Terrible.
Welcome to the sanctuary.
My lady. Your Majesty.
It's more beautiful than I dared to imagine. And heavy, too. Our experts estimate it's worth a small fortune. Of course, now the question becomes, what do you wish to do with this fine stone? Shall I deposit the money from the sale into the treasury? Or perhaps you would prefer the funds were channeled into, let us say, a more personal account? A truly selfless act. I am constantly in awe of your generous and noble spirit. Putting the safety of your people before your own reward. Bravo, Your Majesty. Bravo. The Treasury's health is robust, but we must always be wary of unnecessary expenditures and watch out for possible avenues of profit. With that in mind, I would like to discuss the thorny issue of child benefits, which were abolished under your brother's rule. There are vocal elements within the community who are clamoring for us to bring it back. In the interests of the Treasury, and of the long-term welfare of the people, I have a counter-proposal. It's somewhat radical, but rather brilliant, if you don't mind me saying. We charge people for every child they have. This would keep the population low, but more importantly, the treasury high. Is it really fair to bring... Very good, Your Majesty. Why change things when they are going so well? Perhaps Logan was right in following this course of action. Shall we proceed with the rest of your appointments? Here is the royal agenda for the day. As you can see, you have 2 audiences in the throne room to begin. I've heard rumors that Reaver's latest proposals are both scandalous and delicious. It should be most entertaining.
At your service, my queen. At your
Awaiting your
service.
All stand to attention. This hearing concerns the future of the Bowerstone Shelter and Orphanage. Page will speak for the disenfranchised people of the city. Reaver will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, the shelter has long been the only refuge for the homeless, the poor, and the orphaned. And until we can change the whole world for the better, it will continue to be their only hope of survival. Isn't it time we held out a helping hand to those who need it most? The shelter is underfunded and the building has fallen into disrepair. Invest in the shelter and orphanage, and perhaps we can begin to create a better future for Albion's forgotten people.
I could not agree more. The city and its people are in dire need. But it is not charity they require. It is love. I propose we use this dilapidated building to help both them and ourselves. For love and money have always gone hand in hand. Let us inaugurate Bowerstone's first brothel.
A brothel.
Brothel, bordello, whorehouse. The name is unimportant.
It is time Bowerstone had its first whorehouse.
The shelter shall become a brothel.
Excellent, Your Majesty. I will see to it immediately. And I mean immediately.
This is exploitation, Your Majesty. Your people won't be pleased.
Does your heart have a sizable hole that can be filled only with love? Do your pockets jingle with leftover gold? Then Reaver Industries is pleased to present the House of Requited Affection, where money really does guarantee happiness.
Today, you will deal with a pressing environmental issue, the disposal of the city's waste. Reaver will offer his proposal. A member of the Morningwood community will stand against him.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I'm sure you will have noticed a certain aroma permeating the city of late, even more nauseating than usual.
Morningwood is to be left unspoiled. We will find other ways to deal with Bowerstone's sewage problem.
The Queen has spoken. Morningwood shall not be used as a waste site. The Sanitation Committee will look into safer alternatives.
Groovy. You are like a majestuous eagle, Your Majesty. You were in touch with your inner innards. Granny Nature thanks you from, like, the bottom of her heart.
A pity. I must admit I was rather looking forward to breathing fresh air, but I'm sure Your Majesty knows best. There is nothing as important as the health and hygiene of our citizens. As such, Reaver Industries is delighted to announce the opening of the Bowerstone Sewage Recycling Facility, because there can be no affluence without effluence.
The day is almost over, Your Majesty. Only one more appointment left. Pegg has requested a meeting in the old rebel headquarters. How very cloak and dagger. I wonder what she wants.
Madam?
Yay!
Long live your orders, Mum.
Whoa! Hooray! Oh, wow!
At your command.
Hello, Your Majesty. Greetings, Mom.
It's strange having a monarch.
Yes! Yeah! Try this stuff. Makes you glad to be alive, doesn't it?
It's not every day a queen walks into the rebel headquarters. I thought maybe you'd forgotten where it all started.
What do you want, Paige?
I don't know if you still care about your people, but since you took the throne, crime has been flourishing. You're starting to have a serious problem on your hands. There's one man in particular, Nigel Ferret. He's making this city his own. Every criminal in Bowerstone reports to him now. He's too powerful for me to deal with, and he's not easy to find. But I know how you can get to him. Good. Kid went undercover with a gang of robbers and found out their plans. They're going to strike the tavern in Bowerstone Market. If you get there in time, you can stop the raid. And at least one of those thugs must know where Ferret is holed up.
Your Majesty.
Queen?
Hello, great Queen.
If you cooperate, you won't get hurt. But if you give us any trouble, we'll kill you. Now, just so you know we mean business, I'd like one of you to give us trouble, so we can kill him as an example to the rest. Who's it gonna be then? Oh look, we have a volunteer. The Queen, no less. Have at her, fellas.
This girl's rich.
It is no longer advantageous for any of us to frequent the hideout in Industrial. Presently, I shall inaugurate a new centre of operations in Bowerstone Market. You've been provided with a key which will permit access. Please endeavour to prevent its transference to an unauthorised individual.
Greetings, Your Majesty.
Ah, it's the great ruler.
You got all, my queen.
Yeah.
Greetings, lads.
You again. It does tend to obviate the entire objective of maintaining a secret hideout, if your enemies can simply infiltrate whenever they've the inclination. Lads, perform the specific services for which I employ you. Expeditiously.
Huh?
Killer! Fast!
Oh, that looked like it hurt, matey. Careful, you can break something.
This is the hero, isn't it, lad? Should we get aboard?
You're still standing, mate. Hit her back. Hey, it's not nice to play. Good one. Keep it up.
One more day in this cell.
Oi! You keep shooting at me. Someone's gonna get killed.
I told you.
I'll get sucked in. Damn ass cheating, that is. Blocked! Up yours.
I believe I can state with relative confidence that your efforts are in vain. Even should it transpire that you vanquish my associates, this door is completely impenetrable. In addition to which, this cell contains a secret egress through which I may abscond whenever I desire. Meanwhile, my compatriots shall brutalize your person.
Come on then, I haven't got all...
You haven't lost your touch. I'm surprised his men were foolish enough to fight you.
Now, truth be told, my superlative intellect notwithstanding, it would appear this is not, in fact, the specific cell I so confidently referenced earlier. The one with the secret exit has 2 beds. All right, you have prevailed, Your Majesty. I concede. However, I entreat you to entertain a certain proposal.
You have nothing to offer, Ferret. It's over.
Ah, that pronouncement is objectively devoid of merit. I happen to have on my person a substantial quantity of currency. Let me go free, and the money is yours.
As far as I'm concerned, you can stay in there and rot. But that's for the Queen to decide.
You royal miscreant! This grievous malefaction shall be rewarded with equally grievous retribution.
You have made great strides, Your Majesty. Witness the glory of your treasury. Don't you just want to go swimming in all that gold? But the kingdom demands your attention once more. The time has come to make a decision on Albion's drinking laws. Under Logan's rule, our citizens are restricted in the amount of alcohol they can purchase per day. As you can imagine, this has proved a rather unpopular measure. And yet many respected members of the community think the law does not go far enough. They would like alcohol consumption wholly abolished among the commoners. They feel, rather reasonably, that it leads to improper behavior and raucous public spectacles. These concerned nobles are willing to pay handsomely. The residents of Millfields will be most pleased. They will find it money well spent, and I find it money well received. Let us move on to other matters, Your Majesty. You have a busy day in the throne room ahead.